Good evening, I'm Asad Ahmed. Domestic violence is soaring in London, where men find themselves as the victims. Official figures show an 80% rise in reported attacks, with London being described as the worst place in the country to be a male victim. Well, that's partly because there isn't a single safe house in the city, so you'd have to go to the Midlands or the South Coast for the nearest one. This special report is by Ben Hunte.
It started with a slap and escalated into a full-scale bashing.
This is sadly a familiar story, but one we don't often hear from men. Dan was just 25 when the violent abuse started from his partner.
There was nobody I could approach, even when my friends or people at work would see my black eyes or my broken collarbone. Nobody felt comfortable addressing it. I felt trapped. What I needed was a safe space for a few days, but because I'm a man, there was nothing on offer except advice. At the very least, there needs to be safe spaces for men in central London. If councils provide full support to male victims, men will step forward to take it.
Dan is one of thousands of men to suffer from domestic abuse in London.
Hello, Men's Advice Line, how can I help?
Last year, the UK's leading domestic violence charity received over 3,000 calls to its helpline from London men, a fifth of all its calls nationally. They believe what's really lacking are council-run refuges for men in need.
Men asking for emergency accommodation in London have nowhere to go. Their options are to face homelessness or carry on living with their abusive partner.
BBC London has learned that in 2012, the Met Police handled over 9,000 reports from male victims of domestic abuse. In 2015, this had risen to over 16,000. That's an 80% increase. With the number of male victims rising, we contacted all London boroughs to explore what they were doing to address the problem and see what victim support services they provided. We found that 18 areas in England and Wales do provide refuges for men. However, for victims in London, we discovered there isn't one single refuge available for male victims of domestic abuse. Men are not always willing to go and get help, and sometimes that is part of the problem in tackling this issue.
The issue for men, when they are a victim, is that they feel a sense of damaged pride, they fear not being believed. Where do they go? How do they get help? London is the worst place in the country to be a male victim of domestic abuse.
Men, just like women, need places to go if they are the victims of domestic violence that are safe, that do provide refuge. We view those spaces, or we are increasingly viewing those, as kind of an automatic right for women. Why aren't they a right for men?
Domestic abuse catches people by surprise. That is why councils need to make sure they have services available if men do suddenly need them.
Survivors such as Dan hope their experiences will influence policymakers, and refuges and safe spaces for men will be created across the capital. Ben Hunte, BBC London News.
Well, if you've been affected by the issues in that report, you can speak to the Men's Advice Line on 0808 801 0327. I'll repeat that number, it's 0808 801 0327.